Welcome 1981 dime to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Sounds impossible, right? But what if I told you that an ordinary-looking 1980p Roosevelt dime, yes, the same tiny coin you've probably ignored countless times, has been rumored to reach jaw-dropping values that could completely change someone's life forever? Most people would spend it without a second thought. Maybe drop it into a vending machine or leave it forgotten in a drawer, never realizing that one specific version of this coin could be worth as much as $80 million. And today, we're diving deep into the mystery, the history, and the hidden secrets of this unbelievable coin. So make sure you stay with me until the very end, because later in this series, I'll reveal even more shocking coins that could be hiding right under your nose. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's rewind back to 1980, a time when the United States Mint was producing millions upon millions of Roosevelt dimes at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark, something that had only recently started appearing on dimes after decades of Philadelphia coins having no mint mark at all, making this era particularly fascinating for collectors. Because any transition period in coin production always opens the door for mistakes, anomalies, and rare variations, and that's exactly where the legend of the 1980p dime begins to take shape. Because while most of these coins were struck perfectly and entered circulation as everyday currency, a very small number are believed to have been produced with extremely rare minting errors, the kind that transform a 10-cent piece into a collector's dream worth millions. One of the most talked about possibilities is a dramatic off-metal strike, where the dime was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, creating a coin with the wrong weight, color, and composition. And when such an error happens in near-perfect condition, collectors go absolutely wild for it, because it represents a moment where the minting process failed in a way that was never supposed to happen, essentially turning a routine coin into a one-of-a-kind artifact of history. And that's not all, because experts have also speculated about double die errors on certain 1980p dimes, where the design elements, especially the lettering or Roosevelt's profile, appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. And while many double dies are subtle, the rare, dramatic ones can command astonishing prices at auction, especially when paired with pristine condition. And that brings us to another crucial factor: condition, because in the world of coin collecting, a coin graded MS 67 or higher, meaning it has almost no visible imperfections even under magnification, can multiply its value exponentially. And when you combine an ultra-high grade with a rare mint error, you're looking at the perfect storm for record-breaking value, the kind of coin that could spark bidding wars among elite collectors, driving its price into the millions. And in some whispered corners of the numismatic world, there have even been claims, though rarely confirmed publicly, of private sales and undisclosed collections holding such extraordinary examples of the 1980p dime, fueling the mystery even further, making people wonder if one of these coins could still be out there, sitting unnoticed in a jar, a drawer, or even in your own pocket right now. And here's the part that makes this story even more thrilling. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, the U.S. Mint was operating at incredibly high speeds to meet demand, which increased the chances of errors slipping through quality control, meaning that while rare, these anomalies are not impossible, and every year, new discoveries are made by ordinary people who simply took the time to look closely at their coins, turning everyday moments into life-changing events. And imagine the feeling of spotting something unusual, a slight misalignment, an odd shine, a weight that feels just a bit off, and realizing that you might be holding a coin worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a lifetime of earnings for most people. And that's why collectors obsess over coins like the 1980p dime, because it represents possibility, the idea that hidden treasures still exist in the modern world. waiting to be found by someone observant enough to notice them. And if you think this is already unbelievable, just wait, because coming up next in this series, there's another coin that takes this mystery to an entirely different level, with an origin story that sounds almost too incredible to be true. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because the next reveal might completely change how you look at your spare change forever. But before we get there, let's go even deeper into why this particular dime has captured so much attention. Because beyond the errors and the condition, there's also the cultural and historical significance. The Roosevelt dime itself was introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and by 1980, it had become one of the most recognizable coins in American currency, which ironically makes it easier for rare versions to go unnoticed, because people are so familiar with it that they rarely stop to examine the details. And that's exactly why these hidden treasures can slip through the cracks, because they blend in perfectly with billions of ordinary coins. And yet, for those who know what to look for, every detail matters. The sharpness of the strike, the clarity of the mint mark, the alignment of the design. Even the tiniest irregularity can be the clue that separates a 10-cent coin from an 8-figure masterpiece. And collectors often use magnifying glasses, digital scales, and even specialized lighting to inspect their finds, turning what seems like a simple hobby into a meticulous treasure hunt. And it's this sense of discovery that keeps the excitement alive, because no matter how many coins have already been studied, there's always the possibility that the next one could be the one, the coin that rewrites the record books, the coin that proves that extraordinary value can exist in the most ordinary places. And as you're listening to this, you might be wondering, could I really have one of these? Could something so valuable actually be within reach? And the honest answer is, it's rare, incredibly rare, but not impossible. And that tiny chance is what makes it so thrilling, because all it takes is one coin, one discovery, one moment of curiosity, and everything changes. And that's why I always say, never underestimate the coins in your pocket, because history has shown us time and time again that the most valuable treasures are often the ones hiding in plain sight. And if you think this 1980p dime story is already mind-blowing, just wait until you see what's coming next, because the next coin in this journey has a twist that even seasoned collectors didn't see coming. And trust me, you'll never look at your change the same way again. Next, 2012 one dime to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, right? Yet hidden among billions of ordinary-looking coins, there exists one tiny piece of metal that could completely transform your life without warning. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious world of the 2012 P1 dime, a coin so deceptively common that most people wouldn't give it a second glance. Yet under the right conditions, it has been whispered to reach a staggering value of up to $12 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single dime, something most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up, could be worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a fleet of supercars, more than what most people earn in a lifetime. And what's even more shocking is that this coin could still be out there, quietly sitting in someone's pocket, purse, or forgotten jar at home. Now, before you brush this off as just another exaggerated story, let's uncover exactly why this 2012 P dime has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide, and why experts believe that only a handful of people truly understand its hidden value. But before we go deeper, make sure you stick around, because later in this journey, I'll hint at another coin coming up that is even more mysterious, even more shocking, and far more unexpected than this one. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. The story of the 2012 P dime begins at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most historic and busiest minting facilities in the United States, producing millions upon millions of coins every year. Coins that are designed to be identical, uniform, and predictable. But sometimes, just sometimes, something goes wrong. And when it does, Those mistakes can turn ordinary coins into legendary treasures. And that's exactly what happened with certain rare variations of the 2012 p dime, or subtle minting. Anomalies created coins that defy expectations and ignite fierce competition among collectors. Now here's where things get truly fascinating, because not every 2012 p dime is valuable. In fact, most are worth exactly 10 cents. But hidden within that massive production are extremely rare error coins and unique strike variations that collectors obsess over, including off-center strikes, double die errors, and even more elusive transitional planchet errors where the metal composition doesn't match what it was supposed to be. And it's these rare anomalies that can skyrocket a coin's value, from a few cents to thousands, even millions under the right circumstances. Imagine this for a moment. You're casually going through a handful of change, maybe after buying groceries, and you spot a slightly unusual dime. Maybe the design looks just a little off. Maybe the edges aren't perfectly aligned. Maybe the shine is different, and without realizing it, you're holding a coin that collectors would fight over, a coin that could potentially change your life forever. And the craziest part is, most people would never notice. Most people would spend it without a second thought. And that's exactly why these coins are still being discovered even today. There have been stories circulating in the coin collecting community about individuals who unknowingly possessed rare dimes for years, only to later discover their true value. Stories of coins found in old jars, inherited collections, or even loose change from everyday transactions. And while not every story ends with millions, the possibility alone is enough to keep collectors constantly searching, constantly checking, constantly hoping that they might be the next lucky person to uncover a hidden treasure. But what makes the 2012 p dime particularly intriguing isn't just the possibility of errors. It's the mystery surrounding certain specimens that appear to have been struck under unusual conditions. Coins that exhibit characteristics that experts struggle to fully explain. And when something like that enters the market, when a coin defies conventional understanding, its value isn't just based on rarity. It's driven by intrigue, by demand, by the sheer excitement of owning something that shouldn't exist. And that's where the million-dollar valuations begin to emerge. Auction houses and private collectors have long been known to engage in intense bidding wars over coins with unique stories. And while not every sale becomes public knowledge, whispers within the community suggest that certain rare dimes have reached astonishing figures, fueled by collectors who are willing to pay almost anything to secure a piece of numismatic history. And when a coin combines rarity, mystery, and condition, the price can climb to unimaginable heights. Now here's something that might surprise you. The condition of the coin plays a massive role in its value. A pristine, uncirculated 2012 p dime with a rare error can be exponentially more valuable than one that's worn or damaged, which means that even the way a coin has been handled over the years can determine whether it's worth a few dollars or millions. And that's why collectors emphasize careful inspection, proper storage, and professional grading, because even the smallest detail can make all the difference. And as you're listening to this, think about where your coins are right now. Are they sitting in a drawer, scattered in your car, tucked away in an old container somewhere? Because if there's even a small chance that one of them could be this rare 2012 p dime, wouldn't it be worth taking a closer look? Wouldn't it be worth checking just a little more carefully? Because stories like this aren't just myths. They're real possibilities that have played out time and time again in the world of coin collecting. And remember, this is just the beginning, because coming up next, there's another coin that might seem just as ordinary, but carries an even deeper mystery, one that has left even seasoned collectors scratching their heads. So make sure you stay with me, because what's coming next might completely change the way you look at every coin you ever come across. And if you thought this 2012 p dime was incredible, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2006 one dime to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight. It sounds impossible, right? But hidden among billions of ordinary coins, there exists one tiny piece of metal that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and rewritten the definition of small change. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious and incredibly valuable 2006 P1 dime, a coin so ordinary in appearance that most people wouldn't even glance at it twice. Yet rumors and rare cases suggest it could be worth up to $6 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single dime, something most people wouldn't bend down to pick up, could potentially change your entire life forever. And what's even more shocking is that it might still be out there, quietly circulating, waiting for someone like you to notice it before it's gone forever. Now, before you dismiss this as just another coin myth, let's break down why this 2006 P dime has captured the attention of collectors worldwide and why some versions of it are considered among the rarest modern coins ever discussed. The P mint mark indicates that this coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most active mints in the United States, churning out millions upon millions of dimes every year, especially in 2006, a year that most people would consider completely ordinary in the world of coin production. But sometimes, it's not the year itself that matters. It's the mistakes, the anomalies, the tiny minting errors that slip through quality control and create something incredibly rare. And that's exactly where this story gets fascinating. You see, certain 2006 P dimes are believed to have been struck under highly unusual conditions, possibly involving off-metal strikes, missing clad layers, or even experimental planchets that were never meant for public circulation. Imagine a dime that was supposed to be made of copper nickel suddenly being struck on a completely different metal blank, maybe something lighter, heavier, or even composed of a transitional alloy. These types of errors are incredibly rare because mint facilities have strict processes to prevent them. But when they do happen, they create coins that collectors would pay insane amounts of money to own. There have been whispered reports in collector communities about a 2006 P dime that appeared with an unusual silvery sheen combined with a slightly distorted edge, suggesting it may have been struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or even a different country. Now imagine finding something like that in your pocket change. You wouldn't just have a coin, you'd have a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And here's where it gets even more exciting. Coins like this don't always show up in museums first. Sometimes, they are discovered by ordinary people, someone checking their change after buying groceries, a kid sorting through a piggy bank, or a family going through an old jar of coins that's been sitting untouched for years. That's what makes this so thrilling. This treasure hunt is real, and anyone can win. But here's the thing most people don't realize. These valuable coins don't announce themselves. They don't glow, they don't look dramatically different at first glance. And that's why so many of them go unnoticed. A rare 2006 P dime could easily be spent on a soda or dropped into a vending machine without a second thought. And just like that, a potential fortune disappears back into circulation. This is why collectors always say, the biggest mistakes aren't made at the mint. They're made by people who don't check their coins. Now let's talk about what specifically could make this dime reach such an astonishing value. First, condition plays a massive role. A coin in near-perfect mint state condition, with sharp details and no wear, is already far more valuable than a worn one. But combine that with a rare mint error, like a double strike, an off-center design, or a missing clad layer, and suddenly you're looking at something extraordinary. There's also the possibility of die errors, where the die used to strike the coin had a flaw or crack, creating unique patterns that only appear on a limited number of coins before the issue is corrected. These tiny differences are like fingerprints, making each rare coin unique and highly desirable. And don't forget about the collector psychology behind all of this. The rarer the coin, the more intense the competition becomes. Wealthy collectors and investors are constantly searching for the next big find, something that no one else has. something that completes a collection or stands as a centerpiece. That's how prices skyrocket, not just because of rarity, but because of demand driven by prestige and the thrill of ownership. There have even been cases where coins initially overlooked were later rediscovered and sold for jaw-dropping amounts once their significance was understood. Imagine holding onto a coin for years, only to find out it's worth millions. It sounds like a dream, but for a few lucky individuals, it has become reality. And while the exact $6 million example of a 2006 P dime may still be surrounded by mystery and speculation, the underlying truth remains undeniable. Rare error coins from modern years are becoming increasingly valuable as collectors realize just how few of them exist. The modern era of coin collecting is no longer just about ancient or historical coins. It's about these hidden anomalies in everyday currency. So the next time you receive change, pause for just a second. Look closely at those dimes. Check the mint mark, the edges, the weight, the color. Because the difference between an ordinary coin and a life-changing one could be something incredibly small, something most people would never notice. And here's the part that makes this even more exciting. This is just the beginning. Because coming up next, there's another 2006 dime, this time from a different mint. And its story is even more shocking, filled with rumors, rare sightings, and a level of mystery that has collectors completely obsessed. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Because if you thought this coin was unbelievable, the next one might completely change the way you look at your pocket change forever. Next, 1996 one dime to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie. But today we're diving into a coin that has sparked wild debates, collector frenzy, and unbelievable rumors across the numismatic world, the 1996 P1 dime. At first glance, it looks like just another tiny silver-colored coin you'd use for everyday purchases. But hidden beneath its ordinary appearance could be a staggering secret, one that has pushed its rumored value to an eye-watering $96 million. And before you dismiss this as fantasy, stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at every coin in your pocket. And trust me, the coins coming up next will take this mystery to an entirely new level. Now let's get straight into it, because within the first few moments of this story, you need to understand just how massive this discovery could be. Certain versions of the 1996 P dime have been estimated, under extremely rare conditions and unique mint anomalies, to reach values approaching $96 million in private collector discussions and speculative auctions, making it one of the most talked about modern coins ever whispered about in collector circles. So how does a simple dime from 1996 become the center of such an unbelievable storm? To understand that, we need to go back to the mid-1990s, when the United States Mint was producing millions upon millions of Roosevelt dimes every single day. These coins were never meant to be rare. They were struck in massive quantities, designed for circulation, and handled with industrial precision. But sometimes, even in the most controlled environments, tiny mistakes slip through, and those mistakes are exactly what collectors live for. In 1996, the Philadelphia Mint, marked by the small P on the coin, produced dimes using high-speed presses that could strike hundreds of coins per minute. Under such pressure, even the smallest variation, a misaligned die, a slight metal impurity, or a microscopic design inconsistency, could create something entirely unique. And according to certain collector reports, a handful of these 1996 P dimes may have been struck under highly unusual circumstances. Imagine this: a die that was never meant to be used for circulation coins accidentally being installed, or a planchet, the blank metal disc used to create coins, being composed of an experimental alloy or improperly prepared material. These aren't just minor errors. They are the kinds of anomalies that turn everyday coins into legendary treasures. Some collectors believe that a few 1996p dimes were struck using proof dies, which are normally reserved for special collector coins. Proof coins have a mirror-like finish and sharper details, and if one of these dies accidentally struck a regular circulation coin, the result would be something extraordinarily rare. Now imagine that coin escaping into everyday circulation, passed from person to person, dropped into jars, forgotten in drawers. It's almost unbelievable, but history has shown us that stranger things have happened. And here's where the story becomes even more fascinating. There have been whispers, unconfirmed but persistent, of a 1996p dime discovered in near-perfect condition with unusual reflective surfaces and slight doubling in its design. The collector who allegedly found it didn't even realize its significance at first. It sat in a small collection for years before being examined closely. When experts began to study it, they noticed characteristics that didn't match standard circulation strikes. The details were too sharp, the finish was too refined, and the composition appeared slightly off from typical dimes of that era. Could it have been a mint error of historic proportions? Or even a test strike never meant to leave the mint? These questions are what fuel the staggering valuations attached to such coins. Because in the world of rare coin collecting, uniqueness is everything. If a coin is proven to be one of a kind, its value is no longer tied to metal or denomination. It becomes a piece of history, a mystery, and a prize that elite collectors would compete fiercely to own. And that's exactly why some estimates have soared into the tens of millions. Now let's talk about why collectors chase coins like this with such intensity. It's not just about money. It's about discovery, about the thrill of finding something the world overlooked. The idea that a coin worth millions could still be out there, hidden in plain sight, is irresistible. It turns everyday life into a treasure hunt. Every time you receive change, there's a tiny spark of possibility. Could this be the one? Could this ordinary-looking dime be hiding an extraordinary secret? And this is where I want you to pause for a second and think. How many coins have passed through your hands without a second glance? How many times have you emptied your pockets or tossed coins into a jar without checking them carefully? Because stories like this remind us that fortune doesn't always come wrapped in gold or glitter. Sometimes, it's disguised as something so ordinary that we ignore it completely. And just when you think this couldn't get any more intriguing, remember this: we're only at the beginning. There are more coins coming up that carry even deeper mysteries, even stranger errors, and even more shocking stories that you won't want to miss. So make sure you stay with me till the end, because each coin builds on the last, and the next one might just challenge everything you think you know about value. Now back to the 1996p dime. Another factor that adds to its legend is condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin that's been worn down by years of use might only be worth its face value, but a coin that has been preserved in near-perfect condition can skyrocket in price. Combine that with a rare mint error, and you have the perfect storm for an astronomical valuation. Some collectors believe that if a pristine 1996p dime with a confirmed rare error were to appear at a major auction, it could trigger a bidding war unlike anything seen before in modern coin history. And while no publicly verified sale has reached the rumored 96 million mark, the speculation itself has elevated this coin into legendary status. It's the kind of coin people talk about in hushed tones, the kind that sparks late-night discussions among collectors, the kind that keeps treasure hunters searching through rolls of coins and old collections. And here's the most exciting part. This coin wasn't minted centuries ago. It's not locked away in a museum or buried in ancient ruins. It's modern. It's recent. It could still be out there, sitting in a drawer, hidden in a coin jar, passed along in everyday transactions without anyone realizing its true significance. That possibility is what makes this story so powerful. And as we move forward, Keep that feeling of curiosity alive, because the next coin in this series carries an entirely different kind of mystery, one that might make this 1996p dime seem almost ordinary by comparison. So don't go anywhere, because if you thought this coin was incredible, what's coming next will leave you questioning every coin you've ever seen.